It's time, Cougar Nation. Cougar Tracks. The best season analysis with BYU insider Mitch Harper on KSL NewsRadio and on video every day on the YouTube page for KSL Sports.
Welcome into Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube and KSL NewsRadio, your legacy home of the Cougars. It's Thursday, November 20th here on the show, and I'm your BYU insider, Mitch Harper, getting you ready 2 days away until BYU versus Cincinnati in the Queen City. And here on Thursdays, you know the drill. The top story, who's in, who's out. Let's take a look.
The top story of the day. The biggest story in the world of BYU sports right here on Cougar Tracks.
The weekly availability report is out for BYU and Cincinnati. The initial report was released a little bit around 8:20 p.m. last night, initially at 8 o'clock, which is typically when these reports come out. Nothing was released. I'm thinking, what's going on here, Big 12? Where's the BYU-Cincinnati report? Mitch, you just got to calm down. Everything's okay. It's going to come out. On to Cincinnati, in the words of Bill Belichick. But for these players, they're not going to give it a go. Here's the report for BYU. In the out section for the Cougars, the new names. Offensive lineman Waylon Lapuaho, a starter. Left guard, he is out. Max Alford, backup linebacker, he is out as well. Also out, Tommy Parasis, who continues to deal with a foot injury. Running back Sione Moa, they are all out for BYU against Cincinnati. On the positive side, probable, wide receiver Cody Hagan, he's expected to play. He missed last week against TCU. And then cornerback Marcus McKenzie, who's been out since late September, he's expected to play as well. He's on the probable side of things. For Cincinnati, of note for them, their best running back, Evan Pryor. I believe he's their best running back. Number 6, Evan Pryor is probable for the Bearcats. He's ran for 478 yards and 3 touchdowns this year, 7.2 yards per carry. He's a good running back. And he's missed the last 2 games, and no surprise, Cincinnati has lost those 2 games. So something of note there for Cincinnati's ground attack, getting some more reinforcements. So BYU's run defense, which at times in Big 12 play has looked a little shaky. They played a lot better against TCU, but they got to account for Evan Pryor at all times. Also, quarterback Brendan Sorsby, number 2 for the Bearcats. He is probable as well. He dealt with a little bit of an ankle injury last week in their loss to Arizona. He was in the medical tent for a little bit. He returned. He's good to go for this week against BYU. But the players that are out for the Cougars, Waylon Lapuaho and Max Alford, the Waylon absence, you would say, starter, that's significant, and it is, because I believe Waylon is one of the best offensive linemen on this team. He's probably the nastiest offensive lineman, one of the best technicians on the line as well. Waylon's really good. I think he's got a future in the NFL after this season. But the positive thing for BYU, how they've handled their guards this year, they've rotated those guys a lot. Kyle Safarichuk, Austin Leausa, Sonny Makasini. Any one of those 3 guys can step in and play that left guard spot. And I think BYU's offensive line can continue to operate at a high level. Maybe it was just some foresight by Aaron Roderick and TJ Woods to say, hey, we want to rotate those guards in the event that maybe you have a player get banged up or is out. They're ready to roll. Keep in mind, Waylon was pretty much absent during fall camp. So that was kind of the trend you thought early on was, hey, he's slowly working his way in. But long term, it kind of helped where everyone's getting snaps, everyone's getting run. Now Waylon's out for this entire week. I think the machine continues to roll for BYU's offensive line. The linebacker absence of Max Alford is pretty noteworthy because it just tests the depth a little bit more than you would like. Sialia Sarah's the starter at that Mac linebacker position, and he's going to be the guy you play pretty much throughout. And, you know, sometimes you're going to have only 2 linebackers. BYU will throw a lot of different looks at Cincinnati. But after Sarah now, without Max Alford, who's been pretty productive for the Cougars in recent weeks, it's a true freshman in Pearson Watson. And Watson, I will say, I'm very excited about the potential and the talent of Pearson Watson. I think he is going to be a great linebacker for BYU. And that's all projection based on, seeing him in fall camp, hearing some intel. Like Pearson Watson's got a big future ahead at BYU, but maybe that future starts to get realized a little bit this week at Cincinnati. Did see Pearson this week at practice. Looks great. Great athlete. And in fall camp, when I think back to his time then, he was dishing out some bone-crushing hits, some great hits. Pearson Watson's going to be a really good player, but you just, again, when you're chasing a championship, and that's what BYU's doing right now, you just want to have all the guys that got you to this spot, and Alford and Acera have been the top two guys in the middle, but the depth gets tested and the machine goes on, and next man up mentality. Speaking of Pearson Watson, saw his brother too, Enoch Watson, a quarterback. He just returned home from his mission. He was a class of 2024 signee, so expected to join the program during the winter semester. He was coached by Ty Detmer and Max Hall out of Arizona. Enoch Watson's a good quarterback that I think sometimes people sleep on a little bit, but great arm talent with Watson, a guy to watch down the road in the future. And a guy that's got good arm talent as well is Cincinnati quarterback Brendan Sorsby, and BYU defensive coordinator Jay Hill on Sorsby, and maybe who he sees that BYU's faced in earlier weeks this year. Who does Sorsby remind him of? This was BYU DC Jay Hill on that, and his thoughts on Cincinnati's star signal caller.
Well, I'm trying to think. I think he's a lot like Hoover as far as the way he throws it. Last week's quarterback, I love that guy. I think he throws it very well. I think Sorsby is very similar. He throws a really good ball. He is very athletic. He's a little bit more willing to run than some of the quarterbacks that we faced the last couple weeks anyway. But, yeah, he's one of those quarterbacks that can hurt you with his feet and his arm. We got our work cut out for us with him for sure.
They definitely do. And Sorsby, his offensive line takes care of him. He's only been sacked 3 times this year. Cincinnati does not give up many sacks, so I'm curious to see that battle between BYU's defensive line that's trending up, 4 sacks last week, putting together a lot of sacks this season. I know that's not the end-all, be-all, but this group is getting home now. It's finally clicking for BYU's defense. Sorsby, though, doesn't get sacked much, and I think also his ability to run, it makes him a challenge to bring down. Also of note with Sorsby, he's only thrown 4 interceptions this year. He's got about 5-to-1 TD to INT ratio. You love those numbers, but the completion rate, if you're Cincinnati, only 60% completion rate for Sorsby, and in recent weeks, he has not played great. This man-press defense from opposing defenses, the quality of opponents recently leveled up. They kind of had a weak schedule early on. As the opponent's quality has risen, Sorsby's play has not matched that rise with the quality of the defenses that they face. So I'm curious to see how Jay Hill's group attacks and defends Sorsby. But if they could take away his ability to run, I think BYU should be in a pretty good spot trying to slow down Sorsby. Cincinnati's going to have the tall task of trying to slow down BYU running back LJ Martin, who looked really good last week, and the Cincinnati defense is 86th nationally, giving up 158 yards per game. That's a good benchmark for BYU. If you're at that 150 mark, I like BYU's odds of winning football games, and this was Aaron Roderick on what he saw from LJ Martin last week in that win over TCU, and his thoughts on LJ going forward.
I thought he played outstanding. Yeah, LJ played so well. He ran the ball well. He's so good in the open field and passing game. We got a couple completions in the open field, and he makes people miss and makes extra yards. And then he's really good blocker and pass protection for us, and just all-around good player, man. We love him.
Who doesn't love LJ Martin? Just a class act guy, excellent football player, and a key cog in BYU's team and offense in their hopes of reaching that Big 12 championship game in a few weeks in Arlington, Texas. Let's take a break. We'll get to some more BYU football talk with an interview I had with Carsen Ryan, tight end for the Cougars, who's fresh off a career-high performance last week against TCU. It's Cougar Tracks right here on KSL News Radio, and it's powered by KSL Sports. Before we get back to BYU football, Cougar Tracks is going to turn the page to BYU basketball right here on KSL Sports YouTube page. Every day, Cougar Tracks is coming to you with the latest in the world of BYU sports, hosted by me, your BYU insider, Mitch Harper. BYU basketball tomorrow takes on the Wisconsin Badgers. Tip-off at 2 p.m. at the Delta Center. It's part of the Bad Boy Mowers series in Salt Lake City. And this week, I caught up with former BYU star Eric Mika to talk about his recent trip to Boston for that BYU-UConn game. He was sitting courtside, man. It was awesome seats. So I caught up with Eric to talk about that and also get his thoughts on this year's BYU basketball team and their potential going forward. Here's my chat with BYU great Eric Mika. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on KSL News Radio and KSLSports.com. Excited now to welcome in my next guest. He's a BYU basketball great, outstanding center during his time at BYU, played in the NBA, now currently host of the Washed Up podcast, part of Center Street Media. You can check out all of his takes on BYU basketball and on X, ERC95. He's Eric Mika. Eric, thanks for hopping on Cougar Tracks, man.
Hey, what a great intro, man. I appreciate that. That's a really good one. So, yeah, thanks, Mitch. It's good to see you. Good to be here. It's funny, like, I'm just a blue goggled Cougar fan nowadays. It's so strange. Like, you know, as I continue to play, it's hard to follow, right? Like, you know, you keep tabs, and obviously you're still connected because I knew more of the guys, and with Coach Rose and then Coach Pope, like it felt like I was connected, but I wasn't at games. I wasn't watching every game on TV. Now that I'm done playing, though, it's kind of become a big part of my life. It's weird being on the other side, but you know, I mentioned this because you said let's talk Cougar hoops, and it feels like I'm doing that all day, every day. So it's been a lot of fun being, you know, a very small part of these recent teams.
That's awesome, and there's something about that with BYU. Like, what is it about this place that creates that? Because not all programs have their alums still care and still feel invested. You know, what do you think it is about BYU that creates that passion for former players and fans and really anyone that connects with this place?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just, the experience sinks in deep in a number of ways. You know, we've been fortunate for the last very, very long time to have incredible coaches. You know, the ones I just mentioned, Coach Rose and Coach Pope, and now Kevin Young, and the coaches that preceded them, the athletic directors that are running the show, not just Brian Santiago, but his staff, and not just Tom Holmoe, but his staff. Like, they're pretty incredible people. You know, Tom Holmoe has helped TJ and I with some things that we're doing in the NIL and rev share space. Essentially as an advisor, he'll go to lunch, he'll pick up the phone, he'll introduce us to people, and that's special. Like, I think that there's unique relationships that go past basketball in my case, or whatever sport it is that athletes are playing at BYU, with the coaches, with the staffs, with the athletic directors, and you know, front offices there in Provo. And I also just think it's the fans and boosters. It's the whole package, right? Like, it's just different. Like, I have boosters that I've done internships with, you know, after my playing days, and have stayed in touch with and go to lunch with all the time. And, you know, will mentor myself and my other former teammates that I'm close with at the drop of a hat, right? And they don't want or need anything in return. So I don't know. It's just, there's something in the water in Provo where the relationships aren't just you know, based on X's and O's and wins and losses. It goes farther than that. And so you see a lot of people that do what I did, you know, convert directly from former player to very big fan. So yeah, it's a fun phase for me. It helps that we're winning, right? Like, we're really good right now in the two sports that I follow the closest. And so, yeah, it's a special place for sure.
These are good times for BYU fans. And it was so cool to see on social media the pictures you shared from Boston.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to catch up with you, because you got to experience that game in person. I wasn't there. I was at the football game, but seeing you with, with TJ Haas, with Evan Troy, with McKay Cannon, Kyle Davis, who was a great front court guy. I mean, just brought back a flood of memories. But then to see, BYU in that stage, just your thoughts of that atmosphere and BYU being in a top 10 clash, because I'm sure those were the settings that, that you wanted to see this BYU basketball program in, and they were there. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, we talked, a bunch of us hopped on live last night on my show that I do with TJ, and I thought Kyle Davis had a really good take. Like, he said, we went out there and UConn was unbelievable. I mean, credit to them. I think they're a juggernaut. I shoe into the Final Four, in my opinion. I think they're well coached. I think that they have great size. They have guys that have done it before at a high level. So I think they're an incredible team. And we went out there and looked like we belonged, right? Like, it's not like they were bigger, faster, stronger, more skilled. Like, they created that league, and we had some things going on between, Kennard Davis and Kaba getting hurt a couple minutes into it. And we just rallied. We just figured it out. So I think just seeing that we're not just this built for hype team, but, we can perform on the biggest stage, and we're not just in games, but we have shots to win games against a team like that, I think is incredible. There were so many great moments. We were fortunate to get some really great seeds. Brian Santiago really hooked it up for us. And, seeing KY and how he handles the biggest stage and the brightest lights was really cool. How his staff interacts with him, and how they just are a well-oiled machine. Every time there was, something that he wanted to look at halftime, like, he just gave his coaches a look and they already knew. And then when they went to review a play, Nate Austin and Justin Hamilton were on it immediately. Like, people talk about how he runs it like an NBA team, and he absolutely does, right? Like, seeing that up close and personal, you just see that he's transferring a wealth of knowledge of what it is to be a professional organization with professional players. And that's what college basketball is becoming, so I think BYU has a huge advantage in that. And it was fun to see, right up front.
Talk with former BYU and NBA center Eric Mika here on Cougar Tracks. And I'm curious, Eric, as BYU sitting at 3-1, still in the top 10 of the rankings, what do you feel is the biggest question still that you have with this team after getting kind of a barometer game against UConn and them stacking up quite well, but, coming up on the losing end? What's some areas that you want to see improvement in these upcoming games against another top 25 clash against Wisconsin in the short term? Yeah,
it's a great question. I mean, and as far as barometer game against UConn, I do think it was that, right, for all the reasons I listed before. I think Wisconsin is even more of a game, barometer game, in my opinion, because, it's a very small sample size, but we played down to Delaware in the last game last week, and we played, up to the level of UConn, who I spoke so highly of in the second game. So, I think that's an identity thing. I think that's a consistency thing. That's figuring out ourselves more than it is, how good are we versus how can we just display how good we are, right? Like, I know we're very, very good, but getting somewhere in the middle, I think, is going to be a big it's going to be a big tell for this year, right? Like, Wisconsin is not Delaware, nor are they UConn, right? I think they kind of fit into this slot that a lot of Big 12 teams are going to be in, right? And a lot of teams that go to the tournament that we care about being in March are going to be in, where they're very good. And so we can't come out flat, and we can't come out giving them too much respect, where we're playing scared or tight. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, and we're going to have to win a lot of those games, right? Like, Kansas is in that slot, Iowa State is always in that slot. Like, the top half of the Big 12 is very much in that slot of skill set and ability to go play with the big dogs, right? So I'm really excited for this game on Friday to see how we respond to an emotional loss on Saturday against such a great team. What I would like to see is just a little bit more clicking on offense, right? Like I know that's going to be a concerted effort by KY this week. You know, last year it felt like we weren't shooting that great. It felt like our offense was a little bit stagnant, and then the guys got reps together and they learned and they grew. And I know their player development is A1. And so I'm looking to see that, right? Like I'm looking to see, you know, the right distribution that he had against Delaware, the 9 assists, right? Like instead of the first half against UConn, 0 assists and 5 turnovers, right? Like I want to see him getting in and dishing the ball. I want to see Richie getting more great looks and start to knock those down because it's all in the flow of the game. I'm looking to see AJ really start to nail down when he's just going to go get it himself and when he's going to get into the flow of the offense and when they're going to design plays for him, right? Like I think offensively we have so much talent and so much potential. I'm just waiting for it all to click. Not to say I'm expecting all of that on Friday, right? Like, again, this is a process. Again, we're still finding ways to win, you know, or give ourselves chances to win on Saturday. You know, I'm just looking for us to take another step towards. I mean, our offense last year was so fun to watch, and I think we have even better pieces this year. It just takes time to come together. So I just want to see progress.
You brought up AJ. I want to ask you had the chance to see him with Team USA. Just maybe take us back to your first impressions of him and now seeing him in BYU blue and your thoughts on how he's performed thus far.
Yeah, you know, he had kind of a wave of plays in Team USA that went viral. Everyone was tweeting about it, and I sat there and watched it live on the baseline, and he basically scored 13 points straight. You know, and we're talking about competitive high-level basketball with other guys that are going to be top picks in the NBA and have you know, great NBA careers and pro careers, and they're going to be high picks and have great years this year in college, right? And he just took over, scored 13 straight. He led the press. He was stealing balls. He was hitting threes, getting and ones, finishing at the rim. I mean, he was doing everything, right? And it was kind of funny because, you know, at one point when we were starting to get a little bit of momentum in that second half, after climbing out of that 20-point hole, Kyle Davis, who was sitting next to me, was like, hey, you know, it'd be fun to see AJ kind of take over, right? And I told him, like I've seen him do it once. I wouldn't be surprised if he did again. Oh, look who it is. It's Mr. TJ Haas. You're joining me and Mitch on Cougar Tracks,
What's
baby.
up, man?
Well, I have headphones in, so he won't be able to hear, but yeah, and so it was fun for us to almost call it, right? Like we knew what he was capable of. We started to see kind of this momentum shift. And then for him to actually go out and do it and take over that game, scoring 21 in the second half was a lot of fun. And I think made a lot of people that could have been skeptical more believers, right? Like even myself, I mean, I was still waiting to kind of see what I had seen in June. But man, he exceeded that and yeah, just totally cleared it. And I even tweeted a day or two ago, like, I don't know how you watch the game on Saturday and the way that he came back in that second half against the level of team that it was and have him number 2 on any draft board, right? Yeah. There's a lot of season to be played, but I feel like he has 100% established himself as the number 1 draft pick.
He's Eric Mika, BYU basketball great. Always great insight. I really appreciate the time, Eric. Love the podcast, Washed Up. Again, check it out with TJ Haas on Center Street Media. Great stuff. And just, again, it was so cool seeing you guys in Boston, seeing those photos and your passion for BYU basketball. Looking forward to a special season this year.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Mitch. Anytime. Love your show.
And that's BYU basketball great Eric Mika, kind enough to carve out some time with me here on Cougar Tracks. And BYU basketball now shifts its attention to the Wisconsin Badgers, a rematch of last year's round of 32 matchup in Denver that BYU won 91-89. Remember, Moet Mag had a great defensive stand on John Tonje. Tonje now a Jazz man, and the Utah Jazz tomorrow night will play at the Delta Center around 8 p.m. BYU and Wisconsin will tip it off 2 p.m. on Peacock. it was unexpected when this game was scheduled that the NBA Cup was going to slide in the evening. So that moved up the tip time of this BYU-Wisconsin game. Pre-game will start on KSL NewsRadio at 1 p.m. But you got to think that Wisconsin's going to have a little bit of revenge on the mind to try to take down BYU for ending their season a year ago. It's a top 25 matchup, number 9 BYU versus number 23 Wisconsin. The Badgers come into this game 4-0. They've been operating at a high level offensively. They haven't played anyone with a pulse. The highest rated team in the Ken Palm ratings that they faced is 189, while BYU has faced Villanova and UConn to get ready for this game against Wisconsin, which, by the way, UConn, they lost to Arizona last night at home. Arizona might be the best team in college basketball to start the year. BYU and Arizona, home and home, goodness gracious, that's going to be electric in Big 12 play. But you got to take care of business in non-conference and get these opportunities over these power conference teams. And Wisconsin comes from the Big Ten, where the Big Ten might have an argument as maybe the best league in college basketball this year. I personally believe, and I know I'm a little bit biased, but the Big 12 is really good this season. Badgers right now are one spot higher in the Ken Palm ratings than BYU. Wisconsin comes in at number 16. BYU is currently at 17. Wisconsin, from last year's team, lost 5 of their top 7 players due to graduation, including Tanjay, who I mentioned. And Tanjay, he scored 37 points. He was an All-American last year for the Badgers. The guy that had the next highest scoring total in that game in Denver, John Blackwell, he's now the leader for Wisconsin, number 25. He's got a true shooting percentage right now this season, 71%, 6'4", 203. Last year, I believe, had 21 points. I stand corrected, against BYU a season ago. He's already got a 30-point game under his belt this year. Last time out, he scored 24. He's knocking down the three at a high clip. And what's fascinating about Wisconsin, when you look at John Blackwell, this is an up-tempo program. It's no longer the excruciatingly slow-motion offense that you used to think of Wisconsin with Dick Bennett and Bo Ryan. They increased it a little bit with Bo Ryan, but Greg Gard, he's modernized Wisconsin completely. This is kind of year 2 of their modernization of basketball, where it's an up and down attack and they can fill it up offensively, and they're highly efficient too. Wisconsin's got a 7-footer who BYU faced last season in Nolan Winter, who was one of the most efficient players in the Ken Palm ratings last year. He was 20th in efficiency ratings last season and can knock down the three, efficient from 2, takes care of the basketball, really good player. So this is a good matchup for BYU. And as you heard from Eric Mika, see how BYU matches this game and if they can pull away from Wisconsin, not play to them. Now, I think both these teams are NCAA tournament teams, maybe Sweet 16. I think BYU's potentially Final Four good. I think Wisconsin's a really good test, though, for BYU. And what will be interesting when you're going up against guys like John Blackwell, it'd be great to have someone like Kennard Davis. And BYU coach Kevin Young provided an update on Kennard Davis. He spoke to the media yesterday and was asked about Kennard and the situation, if he can speak on the matter that, of course, Kennard Davis cited for DUI and marijuana possession in Provo. He pled not guilty last night, that according to the Deseret News. This was Kevin Young on the Kennard Davis situation.
Obviously, I know exactly what happened. I was very aware of all the details. But at the same time, I'm going to let the school handle it the way that they've asked me to handle it, and that's for them to be the people that talk about it. If there's a forum where I'm opened up to speak on it, I will. But I think to this point, they've said what they've said.
Safe to assume that he won't play Friday?
I think it's safe, but I also think there's a lot of stuff still being sorted out.
How about that? Would love to see Kennard Davis back on the floor. Would love to see that as more info comes in on his situation. Hope to see him back on the court sooner rather than later in this situation. But also interesting commentary from Kevin Young. Hey, I know everything that happened. When I get the chance to have a forum, I'd love to speak, basically. I thought that was pretty cool commentary from KY on that matter. But John Blackwell will be a tough defensive matchup for BYU, so curious to see how the Cougars defend him. And offensively, BYU's big three, A.J. DeBonsa, Richie Saunders, Rob Wright, they got to put up another 60 points in this one, at least. With the high-scoring attack that Wisconsin has, Wisconsin's had 3 games where they're knocking down at least 10 threes. I think BYU in this game, they've only had 1 game this year with more than 10 threes. They got to have it be their second where they hit at least 10 trays in this game against the Badgers. I think BYU wins this one. I think by about 7 points. I think the Cougs pull away late and get this win, but this will be another good test, and I think it'll be one that holds up in March, another resume-boosting win. But when you beat teams like Villanova, when you beat teams like North Carolina in the exhibition, when you go blow for blow with UConn for 40 minutes, you're a legit team. And these are the spots, too, where in the past BYU would have said, oh, the season's on the line, got to win this game at all cost, or else you're never going to have another chance to boost the resume. It's just another data point in the path to getting better every single game and trying to play your best basketball when March rolls around in the NCAA tournament. It's the second game of the Bad Boy Mowers series in Salt Lake City at the Delta Center. I was looking at the tickets. I think the lower bowl is going to be a really good attended amount of fans. Expensive tickets, no doubt about that. You look at SeatGeek, where the Delta Center links to the tickets for this game. Cheapest ticket in the lower bowl is $238. Lower bowl should be pretty filled. The upper deck's going to be completely empty. This is not BYU Oklahoma State of the past with Rafael Araujo, Daniel Bobick in Oklahoma State in 04 when the Delta Center was sold out to capacity crowds, or even BYU Michigan State back in 2007. BYU's filled that place up in the past. And it's a bummer that these tickets are so dang expensive because I think fans are just like, I'll hold off. It's only November. Like, I want to see this team, but it's November. And I don't know if I want to spend $300 for one ticket for a November game. So I'm curious to see what the crowd looks like. I will not be there. I will be flying out to Cincinnati after this broadcast. Chandler Holt from KSL Sports, he'll hold it down inside Delta Center with some coverage, get some post-game video, things like that, and I'll be watching from afar in Cincinnati as well. But I think the Cougs get it done over the Badgers. 2 p.m. tip, 1 o'clock pregame here on KSL News Radio. We'll take our final timeout. BYU tight end Carsen Ryan next here on Cougar Tracks. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports YouTube page. BYU football continues preparations for the Cincinnati Bearcats. They're flying out to the Queen City today in prep for this 2-time zone game away from Provo. Bookend road games on the East Coast. First game of the year, East Carolina. Now, Cincinnati, 2-time zones away for the Cougs. And a guy that looks to follow up his career-high day last week against TCU in the receiving department is Carsen Ryan. I caught up with Carsen at practice this week. Here's my chat with the senior tight end for the Cougars.
BYU football getting ready to take on the Cincinnati Bearcats this week, and joining me is tight end Carsen Ryan, fresh off a career-high receiving yard performance against TCU. How did that feel just to get a career-high? I know individual stats probably aren't the goal, but to end up with a win and then also a career-high, how'd that feel?
It's a great feeling. It was such a fun game, having some big plays like that during the game and just, having the career high yards, like you said, it was just a special feeling and a fun game. So it was exciting for everyone too, good bounce back win for us, putting up a ton of points. So it was just a great night.
With how big of a role you've had in this offense, has it been validating when you have nights like that to says this was the right move coming to BYU?
Oh yeah, for sure. I felt coming here this is the place to be, and I wish I had more time here. It's just been a great experience. Off the field, on the field it's been great, but off the field too. Just the coaches I've had here and just the opportunity at the school, it's been great. So I've been loving it. And like I said, nights like that, it's just another reminder for me to just it's the right place where I should be.
What's been the areas of focus this week, coming off a big win? Areas of focus for the Cincinnati week?
just kind of keep our tempo going. Like, we don't want to come out flat and get comfortable again. Like, we want to keep that fire up that we had last week coming off a loss and just keep it going. Like, we don't want to repeat of last year where we went 2-2 in November. Like, we want to just keep rolling, be at our best this point in the season. So we just want to keep the tempo up, just keep the energy up, and not slow down at all.
I think you said in the radio post game on Saturday night, like you want to make a statement, but how much of is it challenging to kind of tune that out and stay focused on the task at hand, but at the same time know what's at stake in all these games that you guys are playing in?
Yeah, I mean, like we're aware of like what's at stake. Like people have been saying, like our destiny's in our hands. Like if we just keep winning, we'll be where we want to be, and So it's important to understand that and know that, and I know the seriousness of the situation. But like you said, it's important just remember it's just a game, it's just football, and we just keep going on, keep playing our game like we have. We'll keep dominating opponents. So we just gotta keep calm and stay level, stay neutral in our mindset. So
what makes this offense so efficient, you think?
Just we have so many weapons and so many ways to attack defenses, with our running backs. Like in the running game, we have a running quarterback. We got good receivers that can get speed out in space on the jet sweeps and even on counter plays and stuff. And then we also got like star running backs back there that can just run the ball for 100 yards. LJ is close to 1,000-yard season, and he's splitting it with so many different people. Like just so many dominant ways we can attack the defense. And not to mention the pass game. Like Bear's been such an elite pass, especially the second half of this season once we finally got him rolling a little more and letting him throw the ball out there. And so it's just so easy to be successful when you can be so versatile as an offense and just be able to do so many different things.
In that, when you talk about being able to do so many different things, even last week we saw a new tight end added to the group. Osler gets added to the tight end group with the beef package. How fun is that to be part of an offense where there's always that possibility of some new wrinkles possibly being thrown in a game?
No, it's fun. It just means like you're doing a new thing every week, and it gives you, especially as a tight end, he gives you so many opportunities to do different things in the offense, and that's what I love about being a tight end, especially here. Like you get the opportunity to go out and block in line, go block in space, catch the ball and make some moves on space. Just so many different things you can do, and it just makes the game more fun, especially tight end. That's why I love tight end so much. You just get to do so many different things, and it's the best of both worlds. You get to be a dominant lineman and a good receiver too. So.
What would you say about the rest of the tight end unit? I think you get the headlines primarily because you're receiving the ball, but when you talk about the blocking, there's some really good blockers in this tight end group that maybe sometimes their impact goes unnoticed. What could you say about some of your tight end teammates?
Oh no, we got a really good tight end room. Like you said, like blocking goes unnoticed a lot. And when a tight end doesn't necessarily have all the catches in the game, people kind of overlook it, but like you don't notice it. Like just even being in pass pro or out lead blocking for the running back or the receiver. Like last game, like my big catch that I had, it wouldn't have happened if Keen didn't lock up the defensive end on that play and just one-on-one, I tied in on a DN who's 10, 20 pounds heavier than him. Like I just not really seen him very much, and just elite level blocking from him, from Noah, just like tons of different. It just adds so much to the offense. Like I said, like not having to bring a tackle or running back out to help him just gives you so many opportunities to protect.
How much are you enjoying these? I don't want to say final games because there's a lot of football left to be played, but just your senior season, every step that goes along this way.
I mean, it just makes you appreciate every moment. Like you said, it's my senior year, and football may come to an end. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully I get another chance to keep my career going. But just makes you enjoy every moment, especially with your brothers. Like there's not going to be anything like college football in your life ever again. Like it's special, and it's just cherishing every moment with your friends. Like some of your best friends, and I made so many close friends here in my time here, and just guys from high school I've known too. It's just makes you cherish it and makes you appreciate it a little more. And especially now it's coming to a close. Like think about it, like got a guaranteed 2-3 weeks of football left. We got a bowl game, so that's a bowl game for sure, so that's confirmed. But it's coming to an end, so you just gotta take every moment like it's your last and just play hard.
And I wanted the last few moments here with Carsen. Wanted to ask too, going on these road games, I always see your family too. Just what does that mean to have that family support? Because it takes a lot to get to these spots as a player. Having that family support, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it means so much. My parents, they come to every game, every away game. They make it a priority. And my fiance, she's almost at every game, even with all her schooling and stuff going on. Like just having the support from them, and seeing them at every game, and just being able to come and talk to them, give them a hug after every game. It's something special. And just knowing that they're always in my corner, and they always got my back, and I always got theirs. So it's just you can never replace family.
And that's BYU senior tight end Carsen Ryan. Appreciate him for carving out some time for me after practice this week. And that's going to do it for this edition of Cougar Tracks. I hope all of you enjoyed it. I'm going to go to the airport, catch my flight to Cincinnati to get ready for the Cougs and the Bearcats. Checking in on Friday. I'll be hopefully catching up with Urban Meyer and the Big Noon Kickoff crew. Looking forward to that, and a whole lot more this weekend. Maybe get some Skyline chili as well. I'll talk to you tomorrow from Cincinnati here on Cougar Tracks, and it's powered by KSLSports.com.